I hope everyone had a Merry Christmas. I am back Friday live streaming with Emily Lopez, and we got a new guest on today. We got Lynn. So, morning, Lynn.
Good morning, guys.
So Lynn normally does the out of state investing call in school, and they're not having that today. So, I asked her if she could join us. But did you guys have a good Christmas, Emily, Lynn?
Lynn,
Yeah,
go for
yeah, it was a lot of family, a lot of food, a lot of probably too much drinking.
it. But you still made it here this morning.
Yes, of course.
What about you, Mark?
Oh, nothing much. Just as usual, kept the call going for the Thursday Pittsburgh call in school. Yeah, just kind of catch up on some family stuff. My son was with his mom, so it wasn't anything too hectic. I'm trying to think. Did he? No, he slept at the mom's house the night before, so I didn't have to get Elf on the Shelf one last time ready. So I'm done with that for 1 year. So that's good. Don't have to do that.
You guys have
Um,
that goes back and forth, or do you each have an elf?
we each have our own elf, and
You
it's
guys
one
should make
hat.
it go back and forth so you have less work.
No,
No, because
Oh,
then
it's
we'd
fun.
have to figure out how to like transport it. Oh,
A
oh
clone.
no,
You should
no,
have
no. I
one.
mean, it's the same. Yeah,
Yeah.
but they're different for some reason. He
And it would
doesn't.
just use Christmas magic anyway to go back and
Yes,
forth. So
that's why I tried to tell him 1 year that sometimes it's not gonna be here. It got lost or it didn't make the travel. But yeah, so I think I want to also catch up on a great post that Emily had in school. So if you're not in school, you should definitely join. And as Zuber has mentioned, if you join school, you can see the Vegas event streamed live in the school platform. But Emily did post, so this got 57 comments on it, and I was kind of curious on why Emily wanted to post this. But it says, "Where are you on your real estate journey?" And there was six kind of choices. So quickly, it was want to invest but working on getting things financially ready. Two is financially able to invest but building up courage. Three is have one or few rentals but preparing finances for the next. Four is have money but struggling to find deals. Five is have money and deals, no problems. And six is other problems, different place in your journey. So Emily, why did you decide? Where did this post come from?
I think that we see the people online share. I think more people are documenting and sharing their journey than ever before. But I think many years ago, if you saw somebody posting online, it was somebody that had a lot of properties. And so sometimes that could be really discouraging for a beginner investor or even somebody who has a handful of properties, which is a huge accomplishment. Buying your first rental property is a huge deal. But when you see somebody that has 60, 70, 100, sometimes it diminishes your excitement about your point in the journey because you are comparing to somebody else. And that might not even be the journey that you want. Again, going back to Dion, who wants to have less properties, he probably doesn't want to have 100 properties. He wants to have the least properties he can for the most return. But sometimes we compare to other people and it makes us feel like we're not where we want to be. And then also I kind of wanted to get an idea of what people needed for the content I'm producing for since I started the new channel that was geared at real estate. I think I always remember for me the first one, maybe not the first one was the hardest, but the next few were the hardest because figuring out financing and debt to income ratios. And I don't even know if DSCR loans existed back then, but I certainly didn't know they existed if they did. And so that's kind of where I focused because I feel like that was such a hard place to be in. But I kind of wanted to see where everybody was at to see if maybe that was or was not the place to focus with content.
So before we dig into a lot of the comments, but Lynn, did you get a chance to? I don't know. Did you? I think you did reply on it, right? Or I'm not sure. I forget.
I don't think I went on the comment and I don't think I replied, but I felt like I did reply. I don't know. I was in between. I have a few rentals, and also I think like when that post came about, I'm like in a different place. So I've been investing in real estate for the last 3 years. And I think real estate has been like a gateway into entrepreneurship. And then for me, like growing up, that I never thought that was like the answer or something I would like want to pursue in my life. Like it was all about like going to college, get a job, get that W-2, contribute to your retirement account, and then that's the stability. And like do that for 60 years and then you retire, right? But I never thought about opening my own company, having my own business, or running like employees or anything like that, or like partnering up with anybody. So when I started doing real estate and it started being like the growth and the scale of real estate, how you can get money passively, then I was just like, oh, maybe I can do other things. Like now I'm a nurse practitioner. Now I'm like, maybe I'll look into opening my own practice. And then that's like, oh, that now my mindset is like a little bit changing. I'm like, I don't really have to be a W2 employee. Yes, that is the safe pathway. Yes, I will have a job like that and stability, but I also can build something else. Like I can prove myself that I can make a different business work. So that's where like I'm in that area of like, oh, maybe I'm going to be an entrepreneur. Maybe like, but the imposter syndrome is like, no, you can't. But yeah, I'm in a different, I guess, 6 different places, different problems.
So you're 6, Emily. Where would you be on your choices? I guess what number would you be? You think?
I just want to say, isn't that cool how that built your courage, Lynn? Like it was like, well, I can do this now, and I never would have thought I could do this, and now it's like, what else can I do? It's like your gateway drug to courage. And so it's so cool because I feel like if we in our lives never do hard things, and you don't realize how much more you can do, but you do one thing that's hard. I feel like our world is in a comfortability epidemic where people are so afraid of being uncomfortable. And I'm not talking about legit medical issues, but like people that everyone's trying to put you on an antidepressant or Ritalin, or, like when I was a kid, they tried to put me on Ritalin and my mom put me on a treadmill. And I probably do have ADHD, but you know what? I can out exercise it. And so or you feel a little sad and it's like, are you situationally sad? I used to be a juvenile probation agent. We worked with a lot of kids and sometimes they were sad because they were in tough situations, not because they actually had medical depression. And so they were just medicating. So I feel like we want to be comfortable so we don't do hard things. Like that was kind of a side tangent. But so you do a hard thing and you realize, wow, I could do this. And then it makes you be willing to do something a little bit harder. And you do that. And then you do something a little bit harder. And so I just love that I did this. I built courage. And even if you decided, oh, I don't want to do rentals anymore, I'm going to go start my own practice and all my attention needs to be devoted to that or whatever. But that was the gateway to show you how much you're capable of. I love that. That's so cool.
Yes. So, like I said, Emily made this post in school. There's kind of about maybe 6 areas where people are in their journey. So, I don't know. You didn't even answer. What phase are you in? You think?
I don't remember without looking at it. So I feel like I am still. I want to continue to grow, but I feel like I hit a little bit of burnout on the rentals. So I've started to do a little bit of flipping because I have had such bad luck with tenants, which I don't even know if I've had bad luck or it's just the way that it is and it's the name of the game. But I self-manage. I have zero help. And so I am doing all my my management, my tenant relations. When someone breaks a lease or they trash a house, I go in and I renovate it. And I feel like I've gotten burned by like people I know or I think would be good renters. And I don't have enough to pay a manager to where I don't have, I just don't want to talk to these people. I know that sounds bad, but you rent to someone. I just have a lady that moved in and she is breaking her lease and she's going to go buy a trailer, which is good for her. And I understand that, but I'm so sick of your word not me. Like I don't get a message you 2 weeks before Christmas and be like, surprise, you have nowhere to live anymore. But you get a message me and tell me you're going to break your lease. And so just the interpersonal piece I'm burnt out on. And I do want to invest more in rentals because it makes sense. But I also think I need a break because I'm so sick of people breaking their word. And so I have done I did a flip this year. I bought one and renovated one that I'm getting close to finishing that will be a flip. And I bought another one that's going to be a flip. So I think I need a little bit of a mini break from taking on more because I'm just so annoyed by people. Like your yes means yes, your no means no, but not when you're a landlord. So I want more, but I'm kind of burnt out on the people side of it.
Do you guys want to kind of cover each one and how maybe we can help someone in each phase, or kind of go over? So as I going through the comments, I think most people are in that where they're getting ready for the next deal. So they have the finances, they have a few rentals, and they're preparing they're getting ready for the next deal. So do you want me to go through specific comments, you think, or do you guys want to kind of go each one and how we can help someone? What do you guys think would be more helpful?
I'm going to respond to Emily, and I could say that if I was self-managing my rentals, I would be in the exact same place that you are, because I feel like when you're talking to people, you kind of get invested, right? Even if you're trying to be like, oh, everything falls off my back, because that it doesn't really mean anything, but it impacts the way that you're living, it impacts the way that your income fluctuates. And then so you are going to get invested. And then that's why I think Mark and I were like property manager all the way.
And I
Because the attachment, I don't even know, I don't have a picture of the faces of the people that I rent to. I know it's the names under the leases, but I don't check that, like nothing.
And I think that's, for me, the hardest part, because I am such a pushover. I also think people know that. So I've even said, like, maybe I need to have somebody manage and not know I own them. Like, it's a small town, so I think that's hard. But like, if they thought I was the handyman, but not the owner or something, but like, because I'm such a pushover. So this lady calls me and she's like, oh, I have this lease, and she hasn't even been there for 6 months, and she has a year lease. And she's like, will you let me out of it? And I just word vomit, and I'm thinking, okay, for this lady, it's an opportunity to move out, buy a trailer, buy something of her own, which I don't necessarily think trailers on rented land are a good investment. That's not, whatever. But she thinks it's a good opportunity. So just because we have a lease, I feel like that's not fair for me to hold her back from something that's good for her. But for me, as somebody, just like, I keep my word, and your word means something, to even not just wait till that time is up and do it. To me, it's so frustrating. But also, when I was a property manager for somebody, if somebody called me and asked that, I would say, cool, buy your trailer in 6 months, like, you have a lease. But when it's me that gets to make the decision, and I feel bad for a human being, I always just, but I mean, we talk about Jen, property manager Jen, who's been on a bunch of these, who's amazing. There's not a property manager that I would want to use in the area. So I think, okay, well, maybe instead of buying a bunch of buy one, buy one, buy one, I should flip, save a bunch of money, and then buy like a mini apartment complex. And then it would be worth hiring a manager, like a statutory employee, and taking myself out of it. But I just know I don't think I should be the people person, because I'm a pushover, and everybody knows I'm a pushover.
Mm-hmm.
Are you really? I would never think of that.
You seem very sweet. You seem very sweet, Emily.
Yeah, I don't mean it that way.
So when I think about it, and I think in my head how I would like to respond, I'm not. But what I actually do in practice, again, if it's mine versus when I used to manage for other people, is different. But I go, okay, so should I really hold somebody back from something that they think is better for their life, not thinking about how that impacts me now in the middle of December, January, trying to find a tenant for, I would never do that when I was renting somewhere. If an opportunity came up, I would have never even considered attempting to break a lease or even asking. Like, I'm just not that type of person. But I do think in our world, especially being in real estate and seeing how no one's word means anything anymore, even if it's in writing. It's just crazy. So that's kind of where my bit of burnout is. And I do think I need to get to a volume where it's worth paying somebody and not be the person they call.
Yeah, I think one of the people from a school, I think Forever Landlord, concentrates his business on basically managing himself, but to his tenants, he's just the manager. He's not the owner. So he has like a landing website for the owner, and then he has like everything, like a logo. Everything comes with a logo and a seal, like to know that he's not the owner of the business, but somebody else is. He's just managing, and yeah. So to have that disconnect, I guess, like not knowing who owns this place.
I think if I invested out of town, I could do that. I don't think I could do that here. I think it's too late, because I do so much social media, and I do so much, like, everybody here is going to know. I'd be like, oh, I don't own that. They'd be like, why is your name on the county record?
So I think stage 2 would probably be where a lot of people were that's in school or so that's financially ready, but they're building that courage to jump in or get started. So I would say, like, so a big question that Frank had was like 4 okay deals or 1 great deal. But what would actually happen if your first deal wasn't perfect? And I'm not sure if either of you, your first deal was a great deal, but what would you say, like, just getting that first one, and what happens if it doesn't turn out as a great deal? Like, how would you guys handle that? Lynn, how was your first deal then?
My first deal was close to perfect, which is bad because it just set me up. The expectations were so high. I bought property rental ready, and it rented the next week I got it. And I had like even 2 months without a mortgage getting, rent already. And I did it. I let it rent for a year. So at the end of the year, I just treated it like another bill. So I had like $16,000 in my pocket from having one rental. So I was just like, okay, I can do this again. I can use this money to for the next property. So it's hard, but also I did go into with the mentality that I could fail. Like you do know, like it's a possibility. It is a business. You're jumping into the unknown, even though you've done a lot of studies, but then you have to jump. It's kind of like going on a roller coaster. Roller coaster is not for everybody. Roller coasters are not for everybody. You may love it, you may hate it. It's gonna go up and down, but you have to sit down and put your, seatbelt on and then go, kind of to find out what's gonna happen. And it's okay if it's not for you as well, but you can see the exponential growth and scale if you stay in it. If you have any other house like a primary residence, you stayed in that house and it's been appreciating, real estate always goes up for like since housing was even sold for the first time. So the proof of concept is there, but just position yourself like around people that are also doing it, so they'll give you a little more courage, and then they'll give you more realistic expectations, not like all the gurus that you listen online that's saying like, oh, buy this house, Section 8, $300, blah, blah, blah. And then like you can scale and you buy another one until you have like a huge apartment complex that also it's like, I don't think realistically for the average investor to have it as a goal. Like I listened to, I forgot his name, I'm sorry. But it's on one of the school members that his goal was to get to 100 units. And instead of now that he's like at 60 or 70, I think he is realizing that bigger is not always better. He has these mentalities like 100 units is like the goal, and that's what I need to do at the time I'm like 40. And I'm like, where did that come from? Like, what does that mean for you? Like to get 100 units, other than just saying I have 100 units, because he's realizing he has a W2. He's realizing like more units would mean more problems and more emails and more hours spent away from his family now that he has a W2, like blah, blah, blah. So it doesn't really mean like now he's concentrating on selling off some of his portfolio to pay off the other part of the portfolio that's like basically not giving him any headaches. So he can have more time with family, more cash flow. But the only opportunity he had was by spending time in investing, right? So now he has the opportunity. So that's great.
And if you're trying to get to a certain number versus trying to find good deals, if your goal is not necessarily the right goal, are you maybe buying properties you wouldn't have bought? Like you said, he has some that aren't great properties. Are you so worried about getting to 100? You're like, oh, well, I got to just check a box off, but like, this is kind of a junk buy, instead of, having I have a cash flow goal, or I think it's important at why you have your goals. And I agree with you. Like, is that 100 goal just because we're seeing those people with that post that says 100 doors or whatever? Where is that coming from?
That's why I think the way Gus is here in the chat, the way he explained it, for him, it's not so much the unit count, it's what it means to him, though, right? Like the hustle and the effort that he put in to get it. So for him, it's not about bragging or saying how many doors he had. It's more for him, he's proud of it, though, like the amount of work that he had to put in to get it, right? So from where he's coming from, it's a little bit different. It's not someone that's trying to sell you something like I have this many doors and look at me kind of thing. So that's why I think the way Gus presented it was very a unique take on it. Before we move on to, there was a message for, and I totally agree with this, and that's why like Cody Evers, he says, I need a third party manager for that reason, even if they aren't as good as you at doing it. And I think that's what a lot of people do struggle with, right? They know that they can do better, or they think that they can do better managing their own property. So it's a struggle for them to pass it on to someone else. But as Cody likes, it's about that time freedom. So he's willing to sacrifice a little bit to give it and hand it over to a third party manager. And I think Emily is kind of facing some of those challenges right now, trying to figure out how to scale and take some things off her plate. So how are you on that process, heading into 2026, Emily?
Well, Gus had a comment too a little further along that said, instead of picking a local property management team, maybe find a young adult who's looking to get into real estate and groom them on the things you don't want to do. So I definitely do think, and I know people say like find someone even if they don't do it as good as you. in a small town, there are so few options here. And like I've even had clients, because we used to do property management. And then when we discontinued, I've heard stories of their experiences. I mean, we have property managers who literally are not even doing agreements. They don't even have stuff in writing. Like we assigned everything over. And then some people are like, yeah, they just told the tenant, oh, it's just the same. Just count on that lease. Like they didn't even do new leases with tenants. Like I know you can't change the terms. They had nothing in writing. They weren't documenting conditions. So if there was move in, move out. So I mean, it's bad to the point that if you went to court, you couldn't, because they're not even doing written documents with. So it's scary. And so I would probably hire somebody if I did, like an employee. But I did try to train. I had an office manager for my office once, and I tried to train her. I paid for her to get her license. I thought she learns a little bit more, I'll give her a little bit more responsibility. And then she started like wage theft. So I realized when I was sending people into the office, and I'm like, oh, just go drop it off. Our office manager is there these hours. Well, nobody was there. And so I started looking at our office cameras. She was claiming an extra 2 hours or 2 weeks of time a month that she was not in the office. So she'd come in like an hour late. She'd leave for lunch for like 4 hours. So she was there for like 2 of, the hours a day she was supposed to be there. It was insane. And so I'll have to try again, but that experience was not good because, it was an insane amount of time that she was claiming, and I don't know where she was going. She just wasn't at the office. So I got to try again, but I'm scared.
I have a friend that has the same problem, that she invests in south of Michigan, and it's a very small town. And she found two property managers in that town, and none of them have like software for where she can see like you can track, like, which I do, right? So like your lease, your payments, incoming, outgoing, repairs, and work orders and stuff like that. None of the two that manage there. They may have written leases and stuff, but you can't track anything technically.
Yeah.
Like for example, I manage a manager, right? So I'm able to log into my software and then see what happened every single day. And I do that most days, I would like track everything. But yeah, that's one of the challenges of investing in a small town.
Yeah, that's why I always tell people, if you're going to invest somewhere else, pick somewhere that has competition for property managers. So if you don't have a good experience, you have options, because here you wouldn't. There's only like 2 people that are doing, like 2 different companies that are even offering it. So I definitely know I'm going to have to hire somebody, but right now with the amount of rentals I have, it's hard to justify it because to take the time to train somebody. So I'll hang on for a little bit longer. But no, someone said, do you have bigger cities close by? No, no. So I'm down in Wyoming, and there's other small towns in Wyoming around me. Like our counties are so big geographically, but like low population. So people will even call me and say, hey, do you serve this area within your county? And I'm like, no, as an agent, it's not even worth my time to drive there. Next major city is Salt Lake City, and that's 3 hours away.
And I'll throw it out there because Lynn's on here. So there's no Costco also in Emily's area. So, yeah.
Such a cult like Costco. It's like a national movement. I said one time that I don't believe in Costco saves you money. And ever since then, Costco everything.
Lynn, are you going to the event for you are? We need shirts that say cost no and a big circle.
Oh,
that's a good idea.
That is, yeah. All right, we're gonna have some merchandise.
Shirts.
But I will throw Emily's channel and Lynn's YouTube channel also in the chat shortly, and if you guys can go subscribe there. I see a lot of people tuning in, so I think Zuber's Daily Financial is over. So I think people are jumping in over here, checking it out, and there is no out-of-state investing call, so that's why I see Val here this morning. So I can't bother him on that. But let's see, I think, like I said, we're talking about a lot of people building up courage is kind of probably that place where they're stuck at or might need the most push to some extent. I think what?
Oh, sorry.
No, go.
I'm building up courage. When you buy your first property, I have had people come to me and say, I want to get into investing. They buy a property, they do it for a year because they have a lease and with their tenant that they can't break. And then they go, They call me a couple months before it's up and they go, we're going to sell it. This was not for us. Like Lynn said, it's not for everybody, and that's okay. So if you think you want to do it and you want to try, the other thing too is if you lose, unless your property is condemned or something horribly goes wrong, but if you buy a financeable property, you're not buying a cash required as is thing you have to renovate. If you buy a property and you put 25% down, or you buy a primary residence, try to rent it out, and then determine that's not for you, even if there's a loss, you're not going to lose everything. You might lose a little bit of money if it doesn't quite go exactly like you think it will. And so if you want to try it, try with a decent home in a decent area. Don't buy a really rough property, and then determine if it's for you as you go along. But you kind of just got to dip your toes in and see how it goes.
Cody Evers is saying that's yeah, he just went to Wyoming and it's beautiful, but no cities, and that's kind of why he went. So there is Lynn and Emily's YouTube channels. So go please subscribe there. They're both streaming also, so you can also jump over there and hit the like button. But yes, Hyder is saying, sorry, Lynn, it's too much fun to let go of the Costco topic. And he says, great shirt idea, Emily.
You guys are obsessed though. You guys all
Yeah.
Costco always comes up and y'all are always going, and it's like you're a little Costco cult.
Well, it's also why Charles always gets the helicopter comments, because someone started it and now it just won't die. It's constantly there. Mine is the Crocs. Everyone brings up Crocs because I always talk about wearing Crocs. But it's Emily,
Vegas.
What is that?
Rhinestone Crocs for Vegas.
What? Wait, how come? What were we talking about with rhinestones?
The shirts for the ladies.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You guys are making shirts, right, Lynn? Or thinking?
Told you. Huh? Secret.
Oh.
We're not. Who said it? We're not.
Who said?
Who brought it up?
Don't tell. We're not narcs.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I ain't editing that out. I ain't doing any more work. Flavio is saying, Emily, you should rent your properties as Airbnb during hunting season. Is that an option for you?
So I have done Airbnb. I have a couple properties I put on Airbnb and they did fine, but that's even worse on the dealing with people side. So again, if you had somebody to get those messages, let me tell you, so I had one on Airbnb for several years that was a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom. And then I had a townhouse on Airbnb that was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. The 3-bedroom, 2-bath, the margin difference for a long-term rental to Airbnb for how much work it was here did not make sense. The margin, the kind of delta on having a 1-bedroom, it did make sense to have on Airbnb. And I actually did have it for many years. So if I ever went back to Airbnb or midterm, I would do the smaller units. But here's just one story. When I started, now there's a lot more here. There weren't a lot. So I had like the most decorated, stylish one for the lowest price. And it still made sense. I was really competitive. But I feel like when you're an affordable price, you get the worst, most complaining people. And so I would get, I had an old lady rent it one time, and I had all these flavors of K-cups for the coffee pods, which I didn't even say in the listing I had. I just provided it. And she was pissed that I didn't have plain Folgers. And so basically got threatened in the middle of the night at 9:45 in a rainstorm that if I didn't bring her plain original Folgers, she was going to leave me a bad review. And so I took this a-hole plain Folgers coffee at 9:45 in a rainstorm. That's not for me. The way that people on Airbnb operate, where it's like this concern of a bad review and host support got worse and worse. I don't mind the midterm thing for traveling nurses once you get word of mouth going, but I'm not using that platform. That review culture is so toxic. To deal with that stress, I want no part in that. That's, again, being a pushover. That is not for me. The amount of things I did in the middle of the night no, never again. But the nice thing is your properties don't get damaged as much on Airbnb because I'm not in a destination area. People aren't partying here. But I'm on I-80, so I'm a pass-through area to a lot of places. I made a little bit more money. I didn't get as much damage, but yeah, unless I had somebody dealing with those messages again, the client-facing person, for me, that's a no-go.
And yes, Victor says Costco is the best. And I know Victor is also going to be in Vegas. He's working on a big project in Mexico, I believe, some new builds. Yeah, I think it's, I want to say 100 units he's working on.
By
Sorry.
what metric is Costco the best? It makes you more money or what? Like,
It
what
makes
is
them
Okay.
feel
it?
good.
All right, we'll leave it on there though. So Costco, no, so like you're talking about, some people think they save money by going to Costco, but stage one of Emily's question was kind of you want to invest and not financially ready though. So for people that maybe aren't financially ready, do you think it's they're not financially ready, or they're just not or they're unwilling to change spending habits? Say remove Costco from their shopping or whatnot. So do you guys think it's more okay, go ahead, Lynn. What?
No, no. I think it's both, right? You're not financially ready because you don't know willing to spend less on things that you enjoy, like DoorDash, Amazon Prime every day, Costco, getting your $6 coffee. It's $6 nowadays, guys, to get a coffee uh, every day. But it's a combination of everything, right? But the reason why I don't like Costco is because people every single time claim that they are able to save by going to Costco. And I think 99.9% of the people that go to Costco do not save by going to Costco. So that's where my argument lies.
Emily, I know you don't have a Costco nearby, but it sounds like maybe in your area it's smaller. Do you think, I know definitely cost of living is more affordable for you, but do you think it also helps you in that you're not spending, like, I don't know, is there like a lot of places that you can just waste money in a sense because you need to Uber, or these kind of extra spending habits living in a closer city type of thing?
I think here the one I see the most of, and I have watched this since I was a teenager because I grew up here, is people spend a lot of money on big stupid trucks, four-wheelers, people are, I don't know if you know what a side-by-side is, or like these off-roading vehicles. People are spending more on fancy versions of those than I spent on my used truck that I've driven for the last 9 years. Like, it is insane. And so people are always complaining about, like, I get that times are hard. I get it. But when you're making really bad decisions, of freaking course they're hard, you know? And so when people are buying, you have a $1,200 a month truck payment, and you have a $400 a month payment on your side by side, and you have a fancy ass camper that you never even take out, but you don't have anywhere to store it. So you're paying $100 a month to store your camper or your RV. And then you're like, oh, it's so hard. I wish I could buy a home. Like, if you add up these payments on the credit you're borrowing, it's insane. And so that's what I see here. People buying big expensive stuff that they can't afford, but they can afford the payments on it. And so they just keep doing it, and they just keep doing it. And as soon as they pay off a car, they get another car and they trade it in, or they buy this camper, but they want the newest camper, or they want a fancy boat with better paint. Like, it's just crazy. That's what people buy here, that type of stuff.
I just want to say good morning to Violetta tuning in from Instagram. She's here to stand up for her buddy Lynn. She does say, yes, I spent more, so I don't use Sam's Club or Costco. So quickly, who is Violetta? Tell us real quickly who that.
Oh, Violeta is my co-host on my podcast. We have a podcast. It's called Rio State Jefas. We have an episode coming out every Thursday, and you can download us anywhere where you download a podcast, on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and we just concentrate actually in bringing more women into real estate because both of us were first generation as well. So we want to encourage people that are not in that well building journey to start, because we definitely need more representation out here.
And she will be in Vegas also, right?
Actually, will go.
And are you guys, I forget, are you guys going to the Backstreet Boys concert?
I didn't grow up here, so I don't.
Oh,
I don't
but she
subscribe.
is, right? Because she's super
She's
big on.
been. I think she already has been, but we'll see. I'm not sure if she's coming Thursday or Friday, so we have to plan.
This is, yeah, Flavio says, my tenants have better cars than me.
So I have something to say about this. I agree. So when I was growing up, so not growing up, when I was in high school, I started working for a family in town that owns trailer parks, and they had a bunch of rental properties, and that's how I got into real estate. And it was during kind of the boom period, because it was that 2007, 2008, all that going on before it crashed. I remember they were renting trailers like hotcakes. and what they were charging for those, it was just insane. There was so much going on. Oil and gas was doing, there was so much industry doing well. And I would, in my little teenage brain, I would walk through this trailer park to go fix or do your maintenance or paint your house or whatever on turnover. And all these people are renting trailers and they have like Mustangs and Cadillac Escalades and really expensive, trucks and all these fancy cars, and they're renting. And I'm just like thinking of what the payment is on this fancy car that they are paying. And I'm like, that, especially back then, that could have been a mortgage payment. And you're renting this crazy expensive mobile home that you're not paying any equity in, you're not getting any ownership. And it was like a car dealership walking through those trailer parks. It was crazy. And so that was one of my first realizations of just watching these decisions that people make. And still to this day, my renters all have nicer vehicles than I do, or two. Like, again, some of them have multiple, and I'm like, dang, you could have bought a way nicer house than the one you're renting if you just readjusted where you're allocating and maybe their debt to income ratio. I get there's things they might need to work on, but what they're paying, because again, when they apply, I see all their like what they're making payments on, and if they're making their payments or not, they're way more than a mortgage would be on the property they're renting, let alone a property probably twice as expensive. It's but it's choices. And so again, people want to complain and it's hard and it's, but we make decisions too.
I also think there's not a lot of people talking about real estate yet. Like, our community is growing and doing all these things, but our age, like 30 and younger kind of thing, like the hot hip thing is to like be nomad, travel, move from city to city, rent everything, but never like buy real estate because it's too expensive. Everybody's like, it's out of my price range, especially if you live on like the coast, right? Like Washington, California, New York, Hawaii. They're pushing this like agenda. Majority of people, actually, even millionaires, to rent than to own. It's not like it's cheaper to rent. You don't have any maintenance. You have to deal with repairs. It's cheaper to rent out of hand, less sacrifice from you, and then you can do all the things that you want. You can go to Disneyland every single year and then pay your memberships. You can get all the streaming services if you rent, right? Because you're saving money by like not buying as well.
Until it all crashes in on you when you're 65.
Violetta says, perfect elevator pitch, Lynn, talking about your guys' podcast. But she says, I think Thursday night she's going to arrive, she said. But she said, oh, yeah, talking about Costco sound and the newer phones every year, she says.
Everything is on credit, and people, that's the thing, is our world, nobody wants to say no. Nobody wants delayed gratification, and you can get anything you want on credit. So people don't look at, if I'm ever going to pay this off, like your phone, you never pay your phone off. You always have a phone payment if you keep getting the newest one. And your car, you never pay your car off. You pay it off, you start another one as soon as it's paid off. Or God forbid, I see this even more, people are getting a new car and folding the debt from their old car into their, and that's why people get so upside down on car payments, because they want something newer and then they fold that debt into the next one. And so they owe more. Like, what you're allowed to do with debt at car dealerships is crazy to me. And so we just live in this world where nobody is willing to delay what they want now for a better future. Very few people. And that's why if you're willing to do that, you can succeed. But most people don't want to do that.
Violetta also says, I don't even have a car for the last 6 months. I'm at home all the time, so I don't need one.
Yeah, she like moved out of California, so high cost of living, to Texas, and then she bought a plot of land, and then she put a home on the plot of land. So it's been a long journey, but she had to adjust significantly from leaving like that 2,000 square feet home in California, actually living in an RV until like all utilities were connected into her home. And then now she's living like on acres of land. But there was a lot of sacrifice that came to actually reaching what her financial independence looks like.
And you said Texas is where the home is that she built after she left the other home? Okay.
Hyder is saying, exactly. More people have spending problems more so than earning problems. Yet I hear so many renters arguing why it's so much better than ownership. I think we talked about that too recently, Lynn, right? There's a lot of people on social media and, Graham Stephan, exiting real estate, meet Kevin, right? Grant Cardone talks about renting is better. So there's a lot of people preaching renting, but and we touched on it too, right? The thing though is if the person is investing the difference, then yeah, it could probably make a lot of sense. It's just that is the thing where a lot of people could be saving money by renting, but they're not investing that savings or difference, right?
Well, and if you're really wealthy, it doesn't matter what. Like if you're a high income, like high W-2 earner, like Grant Stephan saying, or Grant Cardone, or is it Grant Stephan?
Graham Stephan.
Graham
Grant
Stephan and Grant Cardone
Yeah.
saying to rent, they make so much money. It doesn't matter what they do. My friend who's a doctor, they can rent or buy and they're going to have good retirement and they're going to be fine, right? But real estate investing is such a good way to build wealth for the average person, or owning your home versus trying to hedge your bet about your rent not going up or whatever, So like, again, if you're I just don't love when people that are making multi-millions of dollars a year are giving advice to the average person. Yeah. And the average person isn't really like, it's like when people say, oh, when you get into entrepreneurship, you have to have multiple streams of income. Yeah, later. But when you're starting, if you're so split up and not focused on anything, you're not going to, you can't divert. Like if you make $4,000 a month, you can't invest in 6 different companies because you don't have enough to seed anything, right? But when you're making $40,000 a month, yeah, you can diversify. But when you're starting, no. So we can't take this advice from someone making $5 million a year and apply it to the average person. And that's, I think, where we kind of struggle when we listen to gurus.
Violetta's saying, preach, Emily. Exactly. But Val does have a great comment here. He says, microwave society, not now, but right now.
Yep. And everyone thinks they deserve it and everyone thinks they're entitled to it. And if we can't get it, it's someone else's fault, not our own. And that takes the power away from us. When you can say, like, even on my real estate channel, I'll post about real estate investing and people will talk about, someone made a comment about living off the work of others or being kind of like a vulture or whatever. And people like the excuse for why they're not successful to be somebody else. Like, and then it gives you an excuse to stay where you're at instead of to try harder and change things. Like anything in my life that I don't like, I can change. And if I don't feel that way, then I never will. So what a unempowered place to be in, to think that all your problems are somebody else's fault.
Hey, Joel's here. He had a challenging time jumping on the live stream on Wednesday, but I do thank him for making an attempt to be here. But I think once he saw Emily jumped on, he took himself off. But his kids are awesome. So Joel, hopefully you don't feel bad. A lot of people in the chat after you left said you should have just stayed on. They love seeing your kids just jump around and have fun and enjoy themselves. So
we know Mark kicked you off.
What is that?
We know Mark kicked you off.
I had nothing to do. He took himself off. I can show you the text message. But Joel says, yes, 100% agree with Emily. Like Kim Kardashian saying to girls, just work hard.
And everyone got mad about it, right? Like you can say what you want about her. And I know obviously her parents had wealth to start, but she works hard. That even like if you watch that show and her one sister, that's the one that always is like, everyone's mean to me. Kim is working really, really hard, and she could stop and do nothing, and she's still working. Like Gus was talking about liking the game, like he'll never stop buying real estate. He doesn't have an endpoint. That girl just likes what she's doing, but she is working hard, even though she has a lot of opportunity.
Before we move on to some more of the stages that was in Emily's post, I don't know what Lynn's take is. So me and I believe Joel are on the side of real estate is an ends to a means, right? Or means to an end. And we don't really love real estate, but like Emily and Gus are like, oh, they love this game. Like they're gonna keep doing this. Where do you stand on that, Lynn? Do you love real estate, or is it just kind of a path to that financial freedom?
It's a better path than the path that I was in. I feel like there's a lot of dopamine hit that you can get from like finding the next deal, negotiating like a lower price for the house, getting some credits, actually signing off. And then there's it's so broad that you can get into like what Emily's doing, like DIY and then fixing and flipping. And then you can get into like so many things. So it's such a broad world that even if, let's say you get, like I don't like real estate anymore, you can get into like the realtor part of it, like selling the property. So you can get into like Maybe I like fixing floors. Maybe I like making like Airbnb an experience. Maybe I like. There's so many aspects of real estate that you can fall into that It's really hard not to like. So I feel like I there's so many aspects of it that I can fall into. Like I really like the numbers. I really like negotiating a good deal for me, getting the house. Like I get that part of that numeric part, but I also know what I don't like. Like I wouldn't like self managing. I don't think, even though it would bring me significantly more money, I don't think I will fall into that and be successful at that per se. But I do like making like doing the midterm, buying the furniture, decorating the house, like designing the color paints, and then doing little things like that. I love that, and I think that it speaks more to my creative part. So I think as of right now, I could say like it's probably an ongoing thing that I'm gonna develop forever, as opposed to like what I was doing before, which was like working my W-2 and then investing in the stock market kind of thing long term. It's more fun than that for sure.
I gotta
Just
tell.
want to.
I don't know if this will. The Modern Family. When Phil said, "Today I want to talk about the love of my life,"
Yes,
and sitting next to
real
me,
estate.
real estate. That's what I think every time you ask that question.
Josh, is that a reference to Chris Pratt? Oh, but give a shout out to, I see Double Dubs tuning in on Instagram. So that's Emily's, probably your husband, right? I mean, he runs that account. So before we move on quickly, what is that all about then? What is Double Dubs?
Chicken wings. That's my husband's food truck. Chicken wings.
And you're not supposed to eat ranch or use ranch with them, right?
Because traditional buffalo style, where the chicken wing came from, they have blue cheese. They love blue cheese. So if you're a diehard wing person, it's blue cheese. And so a lot of those places back there will be like, we don't serve ranch. And one place is like the ranch haters blue cheese, or the blue cheese lover ranch haters club. They have stickers or something. It's just like, if you're back east, buffalo wings, no ranch. At the National Buffaloing Festival, one year they had ranch there, like as a sponsor, like Hidden Valley. And when they announced it, everybody booed them.
Yeah, I saw that one Instagram reel you posted. The customer was ordering or asked for ranch, and then the next slide shows like them carrying out like the body bag with someone to the dumpster or something.
But we make blue cheese, and I do not like blue cheese anywhere else. We have an in-house secret recipe blue cheese that we make, and that stuff is good. And we always give it to people like a crack dealer. We give them the first one free because we make it, and they're like, I don't like blue cheese, and we're like, just take this and try it. And then they're like, can I get 7? Like, people will come and buy it just to put on stuff at their houses. So yeah, blue cheeses.
And we're trying to get Emily to bring some stuff for us in Vegas, but
yeah.
I only pack a carry-on. That's the only problem. I can't take all that liquid.
Let's see, where were we at on this list though? I think let's see, finding deals, right? I think that is a struggle people are having. So Lynn, how is deal finding going for you? And if someone was struggling in that area, like how are you maybe going to work through that?
I think open your horizons, because like I don't think deals are everywhere. I feel like I passed out on really great deals by not buying right now, but I think the more that you talk about real estate, like either your realtor or different realtors, the more you go to meetups, the more like you engage with other people, it comes by proximity more so than staying in the MLS silo. Like Dylan in Indianapolis, he like found his family broker was the one that brought the first deal, the first triplex that he bought for $250,000. That is by just talking, hey, I'm saving my money, I want to get into real estate. If you know somebody, let me know. If somebody is moving, somebody's losing their house. And that's how you find like the best deals, I feel like. But also, you can do marketing, you can do lead generation, you can drive for dollars, you can go online. There's so many outlets to like find a deal, and then you can just get on wholesalers mailing list that costs you nothing. Like that, just literally pick up the phone and be like, I'm looking for my next deal, and then find it. 95% of those things are trash, but like still gets you in the door of like talking to different people, knowing somebody's maybe moving out, or maybe family members that like are trying to sell their property. And maybe that's a creative way of you getting at it.
Before Emily answers that, someone Joe V is asking, "Do you ship the blue cheese?" He wants the blue cheese, so he's in Wisconsin.
We could cold ship it. I think that I'm trying to think. We've shipped, like, we've sent stuff to some of our friends before with the sauces, which I don't have as much fear with because of they have vinegar and stuff. Like, there's things with vinegar that help with preservation, and we cold ship it. Blue cheese, I think it would just depend on how quick it could get there, just because it's dairy and cheese and stuff, and you'd want to make sure it's still cold when it got to you.
Josh Burdick is saying Bob's Big Boy restaurant had the best blue cheese.
I've never had blue cheese I like except for ours, so it'd be interesting to try because I would never order it anywhere. So it'd be interesting to see.
So for you, Emily, I know, like you said, you are still looking in your market, possibly looking to invest out of state. So how is Are you struggling to find deals? Is that why you're looking out of state, possibly, or?
I think the looking out of state was to try to remove myself because then I'd be forced to, or to invest in an area where there are managers, and I know I'm just not in that piece that I don't want to be in. But then it is hard because there are still deals here that make sense. And so I am continuing to buy here and looking in other places and kind of doing my research. But I think a really important thing when you're looking for deals is, like Lynn said, make sure people know you're looking. This hasn't happened to me, but I have friends that invest that people are just like, hey, I know you buy houses. Do you want to buy this house? And so I wish that would happen to me, and maybe someday it will, because I'm very open about that I invest in the area. So sometimes people just knowing, they'll come to you. As a realtor, it's really important that the realtors know that you're an investor and that you're looking, because especially if you're willing to do renovations or value add, or you're a cash buyer, I have a handful of people that when a deal comes on that's going to be for an investor, and maybe I just bought something, my money's not available, I'm not buying, I call these people and I open it up to them. But you also have to be active. So if I send you 14 deals and you don't buy one of them, you're not on my list anymore, because why am I still sending you this stuff, But if you're buying and you're regularly buying, those are the people that get the first chance. I have an investor here that they buy a lot of stuff. And so I always go to them first. If they don't want it, as long as my client gives me permission before we list it, but usually they're happy about this. Then we have a couple people that, like, they actively are buying, they get the chance before anybody else does, And so having those relationships with your realtors, making sure people in town know, I think that will bring you a lot of stuff, just because people want to get rid of stuff.
Rick Freeman, I believe he's tuning in from Lynn's channel, says Bob's Big Boy had the best Thousand Island. Is that Bob's Big Boy? Is that a chain?
I've never heard of this.
Because we had one in Hawaii. I don't know if it's the same company, but there was a Bob's Big Boy. But there was a fire that happened there, maybe she's got to be like 10 years ago, and they never opened up again after that. But it was popular, but I've never been there. Cody Evers is saying, what about flipping in Wyoming and invest out of state? Is that a possibility for you?
That's kind of what I've been thinking. So the last couple ones I've bought here have been flips. And I'm like, well, if I'm building up cash, then if I want to buy out of state for rentals, or like I said, if there's a smaller apartment situation, but I kind of have been leaning that way a little bit, which is why I think I've been doing more flips here.
JC is saying nothing like moldy mold, talking about blue cheese. And then Hyder says, unless certified to say so, it's mildew and not mold. And
so here's your mildew dressing.
You know what, though? I want to bring that up real quickly. There was someone who is here in the chat. I don't want to name them just in case, but they're, dealing with an appraisal. And I believe the appraiser brought up the mold issue, and that now is slowing down the transaction. So I don't know. Have you guys ever had an appraiser bring up something like that to hold up a transaction?
No, it's an inspector, right?
An inspector, but not the appraiser. So I don't know.
I have seen appraisers and inspectors both really overstep what's within their bounds. For instance, like an inspector, if it's out of their scope of expertise, they're supposed to say recommending further evaluate. Like, this is a red flag. We recommend further evaluation by a structural engineer or, an electrician or a plumber. I have seen inspectors hugely overstep what they're qualified to say, and then we bring in the actual expert because I'm like, I think they're wrong, and they were wrong. And so just because you think this is a professional, same with appraisers. We had a deal one time, and I had an agent get a hold of me, not in my office, but she was, I used to teach the real estate licensing classes, so especially then a lot of people would call me just for like help with things when they'd come up. And they had an appraiser come in and say, you need to finish the basement on this house. Like, just you appraise the house as it is. Like, there's things that are lender required repairs, right? Like, you have to have a handrail, you can't have T-lock shingles, you can't have knob and tube wiring. But so they had to challenge it and fight it big time because they were like, yeah, this basement needs to be finished for VA. Like, it was the weirdest thing, and they really had to escalate it. And it wasn't in my office, but I've never seen something like that where it was value subject to this being done. And it's like, if the value doesn't come in, then just say a different value. It was the weirdest thing I've ever heard of. So they do get it wrong in a weird way sometimes.
I talk to so many appraisers here in Los Angeles, and then they're like, it depends what kind of mood I am. If like the old homeowner makes me wait, for example, they said if the inspector is there, he should be done by the time I get there. Like, I don't have all the time of the day to like do an appraise, do this appointment and move on another appointment. I'm like, sometimes things don't work out like the minute that you get there. But I was just like, that shouldn't be reflected on the price that you give for the house. We were like, oh, this is why they get such a bad rap. Yeah.
Flavio is asking, what is the average flip percentage profit on a flip in Wyoming?
I am not a numbers person. I'm sorry, Flavio. I can't answer this. I just look at a property and I go, here's what I'm going to buy it for. Here's how much it's about going to cost me from my construction perspective. I think I'll make about this much. And here's my high, here's my low. And if it makes sense, then I buy it. So I'm not the person to ask. I'm sorry. I'm very bad with numbers.
Lynn is way more number detailed, right?
Yeah.
So, but as people can see, you don't have to be necessarily to be successful. It's just you have to know how you are. So some people want to dig deeper into the numbers, some don't. I mean, it's just there's many ways to win at this, and everyone. I think that's the one thing is it's don't try to fit yourself in a certain box, right? Like some people may not be a numbers person, but they see other people doing it, and then they're trying to like, I got it. I guess I have to do this, and right. Joel is saying
for knowing the basics though, like know that it's going to be like what it's going to rent for, and and maybe your rent box may be too high. Like maybe you should probably look at the rent box on what is that? They said average to lower end of your rent box. Don't assume you're going to get top rent for a property, because the market dictates right now. Like everybody's seeing like the market softening 5% for the last like year or so in terms of rents. Like nobody's raising the rents. This is across the nation, right? I think Flavio showed a Grandview, Washington picture saying that a whole month for free to move into one of the new construction apartments. And that was just like, don't shoot for the top rent when the market has so many options, the oversupply of things. Yeah.
When I flip or when I have rentals, and I advise my clients the same, I always go conservatively low because the market could shift. Things could cost more than you think that they will. And so when I run my numbers in my head, not on a piece of paper with ratios, but I always am going conservative. And then if it's better, great. But I always, like you said, run it off the bottom. So.
So yes, I guess Alex is saying he's the one going through this and it might blow up the deal. So. Victor is saying, in my market, 30% on a flip, and it takes 1 year approximate since the moment I buy the house to the moment I sell and get the money back. Wow, it's a long. That's kind of a long time, actually.
Where is Victor? What market?
I know his big project was in Mexico, I believe. I don't know if that's where all his rentals or units are.
So is he building like apartments there and going to keep them, or are you building them to sell them, or do you know?
To sell, yeah, okay. to sell. But there was, I don't want to take up too much of your guys' time, but I know part of the post that Emily had was kind of, what was number 6 again? That was where was it? Kind of like other problems, different place in your journey, and Lynn has touched on it a few times on maybe some calls and some live streams, but she's kind of in possibly chill mode for 2026. But Flavio is saying she will buy in 2026. So you want
Maybe
to
one
touch on
flip.
that?
Yeah, maybe one flip. Where we're talking about with student loans. I have student loans, not that much, but my boyfriend has significantly more student loans, like about $80,000. So we're trying to see if flipping, if I can translate the skills that I learned for the last 3 years and out of state here in Los Angeles and buy a live and flip. Oh, Mexicali, Baja California. Nice. In LA and see if we can find a deal here and then flip it and get some kind of a quick cash, I guess, 1 year. We'll live in it 1 year and see if we can pay his student loans with that as well. My boyfriend, like your husband, has no interest in real estate, but he is more agreeable to do something here where we're going to live in it. Yeah.
So
Sure.
Jim is before Emily touches on it too. Jim is calling you out, Lynn. He says, "So no out of state investing call today, but Lynn shows up here." So that's why I invited her, Jim, because she did post in school that the next 2 weeks, I believe, right? Or no,
No,
just
just
this
this week.
just this week. There's no out of state investing call, so I invited her on since I knew she didn't have another obligation. But Emily, what about you? Is 2026 gonna be like a chill possible year like Lynn was been talking about, or are you gonna go full steam? Like Zuber, I caught the beginning of his weekly wrap up this morning, and he says there's a big 2026 is kind of like wide range of outcomes, right? There's a lot of people talking about maybe deflation, recession. But then there's also talking about GDP being in double digits. So there's such a wide range there. But like, are you gonna double down in 2026 or just kind of chill, you think?
I think if there's deals, that makes sense. So I have one renovation that I'm finishing up that I will sell unless the market drastically goes down. But I think it dipped a little bit. I think it will pick up in the new year in my market, at least just because it's the new year. I think things pick up a little bit around tax season because people get their tax returns. They have a little bit of extra money to play, especially with rentals. But so I have one I'm hoping to finish in the next couple of months and get on the market. Hopefully it will sell, in a couple weeks. Our average days on market is 60 to 70, but I think with renovated homes, they'll be quicker. So hopefully to sell that. I just bought one a couple days ago that we're going to start a renovation on. So I would love to be done with that at some point in the year. And if things pop up that are buy and hold, even though I don't want to manage them in my area, if the numbers make sense, I will. Or if after I sell the one I'm almost done with, another investment to flip came up, I would. I think in my market, we're seeing longer days on the market. And so I think maybe sellers are realizing these prices are not realistic for the condition of the properties. So I think there's going to be more deals to be had this year unless something really shifts. And so these are the times, I think in the times where things go down, that's where I was born on the struggle bus. I feel like when times are easy, I don't do as much. And when things are hard, that's really when I make growth. So that's kind of my intention. If the market stays down this year, I'm going to try to do, a handful of things, but if sellers are realistic.
It's funny how that works out because I started investing in 2020, the end of 2022, and that's exactly when everything flipped. Like interest showed up the sky, and then people were not buying, people were moving out of real estate, and instead of like 2020, 2021, when everything was like interest were on the floor, people were like flying off the handle for houses, and it's been hard for the last 3 years. And now, like, okay, now I need to slow down, but it's going to be like the best market conditions for buying.
Yeah, I think when it's harder, that's really the time to shine, and you can do a lot more when there's not a million people in the market. So not that I want people to be struggling and having a hard time with their homes, but as an investor, that's a good time to take some steps.
So Victor says, I build to sell and have a couple of rentals. I'm 2 hours from San Diego. And Jim, so we did, like I said, we did have the Thursday accountability call, the Pittsburgh accountability call still yet. And Jim and Emily were there, but Emily was working while she was on the call. And Jim is just saying, I give Emily props doing flooring install on Christmas. I got a bit of office work done, but no field work. And if you want to see some of the work Emily got done, you just put out a short, right? For YouTube, Instagram. Is that? Yeah. So go check it out there. And Flavio saying, Lynn, Hammond will be great to do a flip. It's getting a desirable area.
Yeah, Hammond is great. I'm not in so much tune with Hammond because I only looked at it at 2022 when I bought the first house there. But my problem with him and is the property taxes skyrocket. But I guess if you flip it, it doesn't really affect you property taxes. But when you rent out, it's 2.5% of assessed value for property taxes if you choose to like buy and hold there. So that is my setback there. So like if you buy anything there, you break even, like you don't cash flow. So of course if flipping maybe, but we'll see.
I think Jim was just talking about that on the call yesterday too. Is he's not sure if maybe starting to do more flips instead of remodels is going to be part of his business strategy, from the amount of money he can make from doing them and how much time it may take. But he is saying, I'm not sure if he wants maybe on a live stream or on one of the calls, or. But Jim is saying, Emily, can you run the numbers on an average flip for you one day, maybe?
Yeah, I can try. Again, I'm not not a great record keeper. So I do feel like sometimes I never want to give a number and just it to be wrong or unrealistic, because I do have so many projects on my rentals. Like this year I had, like 3 renovations of rentals plus a flip plus I sold one. And so I try to keep my receipts separate for the right properties, but sometimes I go, "Oh, that might have been for this one." So I can definitely try, but I am just not good at that. I am very disorganized. And so maybe this one I just bought because I haven't done anything with it, I will try to actually track through the process. So when it's done, I can give an accurate. I just never want to mislead like unintentionally. So, but I can try to track it on this next one.
Do you do flips for other people or just for yourself?
Just myself. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
not that I wouldn't, but I haven't. I'm a licensed general contractor, so I could. But I've just only done my own.
Mhm.
That's why I don't have to have my my
Yeah,
numbers
you have to
straight.
have your
Like
systems
it's
there.
not. But yeah, so I'm not a great numbers person.
All right, let's maybe wrap it up a little bit with let's see. Ooh, okay. Of those kind of
2026,
maybe
up your Costco membership.
what is that?
We wrap it up with 2026. You should stop your Costco membership if you're ready to save
No.
money.
Uh,
No.
well, yeah. Which stage are people most embarrassed maybe to admit they're in? Lynn, I'll put you on the spot first.
Probably, I don't know. I think there shouldn't be any embarrassment to any of these stages if you're like thinking about doing real estate. I think it's more of like, if everybody's so scared of taking that first step because it feels so like final and permanent. And I think it comes from like the feeling of not being successful, like failing, right? And it's valid to like look at something and be so scared. That's why so many people like don't do things, right? But also you have to have that uh feel not feeling, but that belief that you're all if you do fail, you're gonna get back up. Like if you lose $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, yeah, it's not going to feel good, it's not going to feel great, but you have to have the confidence that like you're going to make that money back. If it's not in this business venture, it's going to be in the future, because you're trying to move your life forward and then create wealth and generate like a business and stuff like that. So you do have to have that belief, like that secureness within yourself, like I'm going to make it work even if I fail.
Emily, you have anything to touch on, or for maybe what you think most embarrassed to admit they're in? What stage? People are commenting a lot, just failing. People don't like to admit they failed or made a mistake, I think.
Yeah. And people don't like to, like I always say, I don't like to struggle in front of people. When I'm working on something that's really hard, I'm like, just leave. I'm an only child though. But like, let me do this, figure it out, and then come back. But like when I'm doing something really hard or weird in construction, problem solving, sometimes like my mom will help me on stuff. And I'm like, I just need the day, come back tomorrow. I need to struggle on my own. And so I think, yeah, when you're in the struggling time, some people just don't like to struggle with people. And man, I bet probably the beginning, like they want to invest, they're not financially financially able to. Maybe they're embarrassed that they have some debt they have to deal with, or they have to raise their income. So I think anybody, like, that's why I think people don't talk about money, is because they're embarrassed to talk about not being in the spot that they think everybody around them is in, which probably they're not. They probably just have a lot of debt for the things that they have. But I think I just wish more people would be open about talking about the honest truth of money, because we would be able to help each other more. But I think there's just shame around money in general. Some people will not, cannot, do not talk about it.
I think Hyder and Jim make a great point. So Hyder says, I'm embarrassed if I make the same mistake twice.
Ah,
And Jim is saying, yes, I make mistakes all the time. The embarrassing thing is not learning from them. Yep. And Gus is saying, to me, it seems like the ones who are saying they're being stable, because once they hear people are actively buying, they feel like they're being one up. So they always say it's about buying right or cutting down on buying. Trying to ram it.
Yeah.
so I think maybe what he's saying is, if somebody's saying they're focusing on stability and then they see somebody around them buying more property, maybe they don't want to buy more property, but they feel like, well, maybe I should look like I'm buying more. And so they're like saying, oh, I'm focusing on stability. But it's different for everybody, because different people have different risk tolerances. Lynn, you have a good job, and so you might be able to take on a little bit more risk because you have a good W-2, whereas somebody that didn't, they maybe shouldn't take on as much risk. And so I think it's just everybody's journey is different. And so sometimes you see someone on a different journey than you can't compare yourself to somebody that has a different goal, or is their journey's kind of on a different ladder than yours is.
Mhm.
I think Gus says 100%. So I think you got what he was saying, Emily. Joel is having a prediction. I have a prediction. 2026 will see 5% rates for primary residents.
5 flat or 5 range? Because I think we'll see the 5 range. You think we'll see 5 flat? Because there's a difference between a 5 and a 5.99. What do you think?
He won't tell, because then that's how.
Well, Joel, if you're still here, can you clarify if you're saying 5 flat or in the 5s?
And is that the rate or with a buy down?
Probably the buy down.
Nick, so Nick Lead Pray Huddle, who I'll be live streaming with tomorrow with his weekly Bitcoin wrap up, he says, has 1 million ads during my lives. You can buy a Rolex by the time the live is over. Let's see.
I do want to note somebody said something about, don't you have to separate for your taxes? So I do separate as best as I can, but like sometimes I go to Home Depot and I buy a bunch of stuff and it's $1,000 purchase, right? And part of it's for one property and part of it's for another property. Sometimes I'm like, that receipt gets thrown in this envelope, so it's just, I never want to give somebody wrong numbers if they're trying to base their numbers off of something. So I do separate as best as I can. I just know it's not perfect.
Well, I don't know if Joel's is still here, so he hasn't said anything. But man, what do you think would happen if we did? Oh, he said 5.
What I said, 5.
Wow.
No,
So
I'm
buy down is 4 and some change.
What would you guys do then? Well, let's say primary is 5, and let's say DSCR gets to then what?
5.5.
Yeah, 5.5. What would be your next move, Lynn? Would you still be chilling?
At 5, I will refi all my properties, because when I started, my lowest interest was 6.1 and I have as high as 7.8. So that would be a good deal for me. I can refi and maybe get like a few $1,000s for each property by refining.
I would probably maybe do a little bit more burring than flipping, because then you can pull money out. It might make a little more, like that might put you on the line where it makes a little more sense to do a burr than a flip. I would start considering that a little bit more again, maybe.
Jim is saying that's why I'm working on right now bookkeeping for rehabs and customer remodels. All right.
You guys, what do mark at 5%?
Honestly, it doesn't impact me too much from what I have. I mean, maybe the ones I recently bought, and I guess it could kind of work out, because when I was first buying with the DSCR at that time, I had prepayment penalties on the Pennsylvania loans, the DSCRs, but now you cannot have prepayment penalties on the DSCRs. So the ones I recently bought, I could refinance without penalties. So, yeah, I'd probably look into it. It probably would. I think what the last one I got was at 7.1. The other one is like 6.6. So yeah, I would probably maybe look to refi those.
Did
So it
that
could.
law just change in the time that you started investing to that point with the prepayment penalty for the state?
I don't know if it changed or maybe they just started enforcing it more. I mean, it was never mentioned when I first started doing it, and just recently, yeah, it started popping up more where the lender's like, "Oh yeah, we cannot. Your rate's going to have to be a little bit higher." Um, but then it also depends on what the loan amount is. It's kind of like a gray area. And Yasik is. Oh, here we go, Emily. So maybe someone could.
Someone explain what is 6.7? What does that mean?
It doesn't mean anything. It
It,
started with like Alpha, the new generation of
well,
like,
it's them making a decision. It's like six,
Also, it's like
7. Yeah.
maybe like
Yeah, exactly. It has no real meaning.
so
mean,
dumb.
it is.
Flavio is saying he has 4 properties and 8%. Wow.
Doesn't Flavio have like a private money lender that does 30-year mortgages? I
I
think.
don't know. Flavio is like a ninja. He's like a sleeper. Right? People he a lot of people don't realize how much stuff he's working on.
Yeah, he's a secret keeper.
He is.
Flavio, are those are they financeable now? Like, have you stabilized them where you could refinance down if the rates were better?
Yes, exactly. Yasik said, yeah, means everything and nothing at the same time. Oh, Flavio says he does have I think the private lender you're talking about. Let's see. If you guys have time, I did want to, since you guys are talking about like running numbers, even the bookkeeping, there was something on X. Hold on, let me bring it up.
Now that you know how to screen share.
Oh, I'm not gonna. No, I'm not gonna screen. I don't want to see everyone the comment talking shit about people. Hold on, real fast. But there was. Oh shit! It didn't save on this. I guess it doesn't. Hold on, let me bring it up on my phone. Then it was something about. There's 2 type of people in the world. Those that just go by a handshake, and those that go through their $6 receipt to make sure it's accurate. Hold on. Yeah, there are 2 types of people in the world: those who do everything on a handshake, and those who check the $6 receipt for accuracy after buying a coffee. You guys, where do you guys sit on that?
I think I'm in the middle. I don't think I definitely found like some mistakes on my grocery bill that I had to go back for, but like I have to like guesstimate. Like usually when I go to the grocery store, I spend $100. Like it's really rare that I go over, right? So because I'm like buying almost the same food every week because we have like planned meals and we only go to the grocery store once a week, so it's about the same price unless I get like a expensive yogurt, an additional box of eggs or things like that. So I like, okay, this is $97. Really like keep pushing it. So I will check backwards like what would happen. And I will be right every single time. Like we'll go back and I'm like, you charged me for the X twice or something like that. But I'm not like this spreadsheet kind of girl. Like I do a lot of things by hand. And then I'm not as OCD and organized like that. So I'm like in the middle. But I will notice like something doesn't look right, so I'll go and check.
You, Emily? See, I think it's really if it's $6 receipt, it tells you a lot if someone goes through that, and checks it. But now it depends if it's like a $20,000 bill, right? So I think so if it's a handshake and I don't ever look at like my coffee receipt or anything. I don't know if I'm different or what, but I don't know how. I would assume based on what Emily has said, she probably doesn't give a shit about a $6 coffee receipt. I don't know.
I think there's like a deeper meaning to this, because I'm thinking also it's like, what's your like the handshake thing? What does your word mean? Like I'm on a bunch of realtor Facebook pages, and I've heard realtors say things like, because like real estate, if you send somebody a client, you can get a referral for sending them that client. And I've seen agents be like, well, they sent me a referral, but they never followed up with the referral agreement, so I shouldn't have to pay them. Like for me, my handshake means everything. I had an agent send me a referral. So basically she sent me a client, and it ended up being somebody I knew, but I had already signed the document. So someone that would have listed their house with me anyway, I was like, whatever, I signed it, and they didn't end up selling a house for like 4 years, and they had like an 18-month thing or whatever. 4 years later, I sent this lady a 25% check because I had set, like your word means something. And if your word means nothing, you have nothing. So that is so important to me. And so for me, you could shake my hand and I will always honor it, but I don't trust anybody else. And so like contractors, if I have a text message, I don't care how formal it is. I just want something in writing. And I feel like a lot of that is sometimes verbally people miscommunicate. They don't say exactly what they mean, and that leads to frustration. So I think really clarifying with people and making sure everybody is on the same page is super important. So I really like hyper communicate with people. But as far as like the grocery bill, I can't tell you how many times I get charged for stuff I didn't buy or extra charge, and I get annoyed. And then my husband is like, is that really like, even if you went back and got your money back, it's not worth your time to drive back over there. Or you buy something and it's rotten. There's one grocery store that's famous for selling rotten stuff here. And it's like, yeah, it's annoying, but you know what? It's not worth my time to go deal with this situation. So
Yep, totally agree.
I feel like I'm on vacation. It's like I forget about that. Like I don't check bills and I don't get receipts. But if I'm
Do you
here,
guys go through all your credit card statements?
I
Like
go over my credit card
check every
statement
receipt?
every day, and I pay it in full every Friday.
I don't go through ours. Every once in a while I do if charges look weird or something
Yeah.
like that. But no, I did when we were in stage 1, when we were trying to pay down student loans, get our debt to income ratios right. Like I fixated on money because it was just my way to like be in that world and paying attention to things. But I don't now. No.
That's a great point. I guess where you're at in the journey, right? But I guess Joel is trying to say just pricing. Put something now to give an example. So he did put a few things. He did put FHA 5.25% cost, 1.75 points permanent buy down. Conventional 5.5 with 2 points. Yeah. All right. So reach out to Joel if you want to know what rates are. Let's see. Yeah. Hey, Ike is here tuning in. But yeah, this was a great episode. I'm glad you guys didn't do the out of state investing today, Lynn, so you could join us. Me and Emily are always battling with viewership with you folks on Fridays. But I think a lot of people had fun on this one. Anything else you guys want to wrap it up with? I'll put you guys' channel in the chat again. Lynn, when's your next Thursday? Is it? Or when are you guys live streaming tomorrow? On Saturday still yet?
Planning with boys is much more different than planning with girls.
Wait. What does that mean?
Because every time we're supposed to do lives on the weekends, right? But we don't get the time and the data until like the day before. And then with girls, it's like, no, Saturday morning, log in 8 a.m. And then like basically it's ongoing forever in an agreement. But we'll see. We'll see what time we go live or if we go live.
And Lynn, send me your podcast again.
Real Estate Jefas.
And so we can just that's not your YouTube channel also though, right? That's only on
that's my podcast YouTube channel. Yeah. It's like this going live. Yeah.
Cool.
Yes. So Dylan was here. So Dylan, I believe she's speaking about you. Jack. I don't think Jack is here today, but so it'll be Dylan and Jack that she's referring to. Emily, what's your next video on? You did post one on your DIY side, right? So what is the next real estate topic for you that's going to be on your real estate channel?
Man, I don't know. You guys tell me what you want to see. I got to think about that one.
Ooh,
all right. Self-leveler one now. I'll make a full tutorial on that because I haven't done one in a couple years. And I guess I do have a question for everybody too, because I have found that a lot of people that get into real estate are also getting their real estate licenses, whether it's to make more money or whether it's to just have it for the MLS access and all that. So with the real estate channel, do you guys just prefer real estate investing content, or would you like real estate agent content as well? As far as like, most agents don't have a broker that trains them. So like negotiation, how to look at contracts, like anything just like real estate agent specific, or is it like, nah, just stick with the investing stuff? So I guess if you guys would like to see that, let me know, because I don't know if anyone wants that.
Yeah, quickly, I think people that are still here, it's showing about 25 to 30 viewers still here. So throw in the chat what kind of content do you want to see on Emily's.
I have a request. I want like construction 101 content. Like
Okay.
learning how to, like, what is a house actually made of? Because it's just like, technically people make it seem like it's very complicated, but it is, wood and like some finishes kind of thing.
In the US, because everyone always on Instagram from other countries makes fun of your paper built houses and stuff, but because like there's a lot of block building and concrete in other countries, and so the US it's really simple.
Yeah, like plumbing, electricity, people make it seem like, when you get to contractors, it's like, oh, I have to do this and I have to do that. I'm like, you have to do that regardless in any house. Like, you have to follow code regardless. So that I think would be cool to see.
Okay.
Hugo is saying you can do a separate playlist for that content. Yeah, so she has a real estate channel and a DIY channel, Hugo. So she is trying to separate them. Oh yes, her DIY channel is way more successful currently, right?
Except, what's a bummer? When you wear clothes when you're doing your renovations, you don't get as many followers, because there are so many channels. Because there's girls with DIY channels that are wearing short booty shorts and really low cut tank tops, hanging their titties out, and their channels blow up. And my husband's like, he'll find one, he'll be like, okay, look at their followers, and then we'll check back every couple days. If you're actually doing construction and you're not showing everything off, then it takes forever to grow that channel. I've had that channel forever. And so like, I don't want it to be about that, because I want people to respect me for my construction knowledge. But it's like, these channels blow up because the bikini.
I will not say anything on this.
I think I challenge you to reframe your thinking of like, because I am wearing shorts, I'm supposed to be demanding less respect from people.
Well, I don't think of it that way, but when you work in construction as a female, like, I don't care what other people do, but you can tell sometimes it's very intentional. They're not actually doing anything. They're just bending over and holding a piece of equipment that vibrates. So it's not real construction. You know what I'm saying? I'm not judging it, but it is so hard in this industry. I'm not going to make it harder. Like, that's not what I want my channel to be about. I want it to be about actually teaching people how to do the jobs and use the equipment.
Mark is laughing because his feed is full of these people.
Show up for me on Instagram, and it's like there's 100 followers, and then all of a sudden they have 30,000, and it's like they're not even actually doing a project. Like, that's not what their page is about,
If you notice, if you do on TikTok, if you do anything political, your views like shoot up.
Yeah. Oh, it's stressful to even conflict with people. I could.
Hold on real fast. Jim is saying though, yeah, he's gonna start January 25th, 10 a.m. Pacific, I think maybe he means, starting the school contractor call, and Emily would jump in when she can.
On Sundays.
Big Val is saying a tool list. So I think that's what he's hoping, some type of video on,
for the DIY channel.
Yeah, the DIY. Yeah, Hugo is all about the angles. Alex is saying, if you do an agent specific style video, I stick to doing it for one day out of a week, like 1 out of 3.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Flavio said Ryobi or Milwaukee. So I have DeWalt, just because that's what I started with, and that's my batteries. And so now I don't want to start a new battery set. I don't love Ryobi. I feel like they're not as powerful, but I have some less expensive tools that are corded that I have Ryobi, but I use DeWalt mostly.
Josh is saying, make a shirt that says, I don't show my tits, I show my skills.
Listen, but I don't want to hate on people that do that, because I don't care. It's just that's not what I want my channel to be, which I see the slow growth and I'm like, just keep swimming, just keep swimming.
15,000 subscribers is nothing to,
over many years though. That's been a ton of effort.
All right, that's true. But I'm sure Lynn and I we'd both be happy with 15,000
Yeah.
subscribers, right?
But how long have you guys had your channels for?
Lynn, when did you start your? Mine's about 2 years.
Yeah, I think it's been a year or maybe less than a year.
So my channel is at least 7 years old, and I think it's probably 4 years of significant effort of at least weekly videos, regular short. That's full length videos plus the shorts. And to edit a construction video, like the Talking Head, the real estate channel, that's so easy to edit those that I just started. But the YouTube channel with the DIY, I have to do the project that sometimes takes weeks, and then I have to edit it. So like that channel, I'm disappointed in the growth for how much work it's been, because it's so much work over there.
Hyder saying Milwaukee, there's no question. Ryobi is garbage. You know, and a lot of people, hopefully you guys watch my interview with Emily, the long form, her first time on the channel. But I think I caught her when she was starting the realtor channel, your new channel, right? You mentioned you took a leave or break, right? Or you're starting it again, the podcast. So that's maybe touch on that real quickly. You stepped away for a while, right?
Well, I actually hadn't even started the real estate channel. I was just putting the content on my DIY channel too. And YouTube is really hard with the algorithm and how it aims content, and they don't want you to have a bunch of different things. So I was really worried about messing up the algorithm, but I didn't want to have two separate channels. So I was starting to put it back on the DIY channel. And then shortly after that, I split it out, because everybody that I talked to that has huge YouTubes is like, you can't have these in the same place. And so it was around that time I just had, but it sucks when you do have a decent sized channel. Like when we started, I couldn't even stream because I didn't have enough subscribers to do a live stream. So it's hard to start over when you kind of have all these features and functions you can use, and then you can't use them again.
Contractor call is going to be, and I don't know if Frank's going to be on there. I think he is, but Flavio is saying Frank is a fan of Ryobi tools. Grumpy Contractor says DeWalt and 12-volt Milwaukee for me, and a ton of specialty tools over the 30 plus years, over 100K in equipment and tools. Josh is saying Makita. Oh, that's kind of, everyone has a little different take on it.
I have some Makita things, but not a lot because my batteries.
Would you say, I mean, I know you're not close to 30 years like Jim, but would you, pretty significant amount of money on equipment and tools?
And it makes me really grateful that I can, because I remember the first time I ever did a bathroom and I had like no money. I literally mixed my thin set by hand because I didn't want to buy a mixing drill and a mixing paddle. And I mean, I wouldn't recommend that, but I just did it in little portions. So I do have a lot of money worth of tools, and that's probably what my biggest, besides real estate, that's probably the next biggest asset I have. And I'm super lucky because it makes jobs a lot easier when you can buy what you need.
That's funny, because I was telling my boyfriend that like nothing on my closet is over $100, but I have like a massive tool chest that we have to move out of the garage, and it was like a whole thing, like how to build a shelter and everything. But all of my tools are like in my big tool chest, and I'm like, this is where all my money is.
Yep.
Hyder saying Frank wants to be ridiculed. All right. Well, thank you guys for doing this. Hope everyone, like I said, hope everyone had a great Christmas. Hopefully you're not working. Hopefully you took a long weekend. But next week, Out of State Investing is back, right, Lynn? Your guys' Friday call. Tomorrow has the Gen Z call in the morning.
6 or 7 o'clock.
Well, it's 6 o'clock in Hawaii.
There you go.
7 o'clock is my Bitcoin live stream. And there's the short-term rental call now in school is tomorrow. Also, I think that's at 8 Hawaii time. And Frank goes live also on Saturdays. They go over the recap for their Wednesday school call, him and Cynthia. So we got to get Cynthia on camera one day. She still does the virtual, I don't know, cartoon or whatever you want to call it of herself. She won't put herself on camera. But yeah, everyone, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you had a fun Christmas with family and whatnot. And we'll be back tomorrow, and we'll be back next week with Emily on Friday. So thanks, everyone.